Hello, welcome to the Friday Waffle. It's Easter weekend, thank goodness. It's Friday and it's absolutely glorious weather-wise up in Scotland, probably in the whole of the UK actually. In fact, I dare say you guys are probably getting getting it even nicer than it is up here. But yeah, it's I'm off today, Saturday, Sunday, Monday back to work on Tuesday. So yeah, how are you all doing? I'm doing absolutely fine. Work still mega busy, but it's kind of settled down a wee bit, thankfully. So apologies about the bright yellow t-shirt. I got up this morning and I was intending to go to the park run, and as I was getting ready to go, the penny dropped. It's actually Friday, not Saturday, but I was all ready, so I'm just back for the gym. So yeah, I hope you've all had a decent week. Like I say, the weather's glorious. Apparently it's to remain nice all weekend, which is excellent. What have I been doing with myself? I was at the computer club on Tuesday. But to say the computer clubs, I think we're all kind of agreeing the computer club's starting to get slightly stale. I think. Yeah, I don't know. In the early days of the club, we all made a big effort to take along original hardware. There was none of this emulation nonsense. But in the last, I would probably say the last maybe, I don't know, couple of months, probably last couple of years, I should say. We seem to be, we're all picking up things like Raspberry Pis and MAME cabs and all that kind of stuff, and there's a lot more of us, myself included, we're taking the easy option and we're just taking along hardware to emulate on, which is fine. It's fine for the gaming point of view, but it doesn't make it interesting. I mean, let's be honest, Raspberry Pis are wonderful. They like to play lots of games on lots of different systems, but they're the most dull bits of tech to look at. So I think we're all of the agreement we need to try and do something a bit different, whether we, I don't know, we just have competitions with high scoring games or something like that. I don't know, I think we need to change it, because I'll be honest, I'm getting a bit bored of it. And the thing is, we've got to pay, it's about 30 quid to hire the hall, and the numbers are dwindling as well. So I mean, I think last week there was only 5 of us, so it was about how much, 6 quid each. So you're travelling through a church, you're paying 6 quid to play a system that you own. So where's the point of that? So anyway, that was a Tuesday. Been at the gym. Gaming wise, what have I been playing? I'll still playing a fair bit of my MAME cab. Not played any other systems at all. No, I tell a lie, I was actually playing Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive last week. It's a game that I don't think I've ever got past. Is it Dr. Robotnik? Never actually got past that. I just can't get past it. If anyone's got any tips on how to get past it, please let me know. So yeah, that's been kind of the only gaming stuff that I've been doing. But anyway, today I'm actually I'm going to be leaving in about. I'm going to be keeping this video to half an hour, because in about 1 o'clock I'm picking my daughter up. My girlfriend, my daughter and her friend are all going down to Birmingham to Insomnia. Now it's probably a gaming event that you guys have never heard of. I'd never heard of it until my daughter mentioned it. Now it's one of the biggest gaming conventions there is in the UK. All the gaming sort of things that I've done before are all the retro style things, like your Play Blackpools, your Play Manchesters, which are far smaller. This Insomnia thing, it's massive. It's in the Birmingham ACC or NEC, whatever it's called, and it's just huge. It's all modern systems. There's YouTubers that go along, and I'm talking the YouTubers that go along to these things. They've got tens of millions of subscribers, not little piddly people like myself. But yeah, I didn't even know who they were. I mean, when you get in there, there's a massive stage, and there's all these young kids up talking, and they're all global superstars. It's just mental. I don't know any of them. But they're people that people my daughter's age all watch on a regular basis. So driving down there, we're going to be leaving about 1 o'clock. It's about 5 hours to Birmingham. We're staying at the Travelodge in the Birmingham airport, and then I've paid for the parking there, and then we're going to jump in a taxi tomorrow morning and go to the venue. So that's my plan for this weekend. Should be fun. I mean, my daughter, she's actually going to be cosplaying. She's dressed up as a character, a blonde-haired character out of Persona 5 or something, is it called? I can't remember. Apologies if I've got that wrong. So yeah, she's dressing up. I'll be dressing up, jeans and a t-shirt, going as a fat old bloke. So anyway, listen, I'm going to, like I said, I can't really talk for long because I need to get away. I'm running late as always I seem to do. So I've just got a few questions from a few weeks ago, because obviously last week I teamed up with my mate Dave and we did a collaboration video, Alan Dave Talks Bollocks, which I always really enjoy. But anyway, listen, to kick things off, we've got the ever-present Mr. Down the Rabbit Hole, Kev. Firstly, welcome back from your holidays, Kev. I've been following you on YouTube. Looks like an awesome trip that you had. Greetings, Alan. Apologies for no questions for so long, but I was on a big trip. I'm back now, so here are some new questions for your waffle. There's my dog kicking off. First, have you seen Trainspotting 2 and did you enjoy it? Seems an almost unnecessary sequel to me. I have, and I did enjoy it. It's not a patch on the first one. It's like a lot of sequels. When a film is so popular that it begs a sequel, the reason, I mean, it's massively popular, and it's always going to be difficult for anybody to make a sequel that betters the original. I mean, I can't think offhand of any sequel that I would say is better than the original film. I mean, Jaws is a classic film. Jaws 2, good film, not as good, and then the rest of them are just absolutely woeful. I suppose, and this isn't my opinion, Star Wars, I still think the original Star Wars, that's my favourite Star Wars film. A lot of people seem to think that The Empire Strikes Back is the better film. It's still a really, really good film, but I think for me it'll always be the original Star Wars. But I don't think there's many films, many sequels, whether it's video games, whether it's, films, is actually any better. Going back to Trainspotting. Trainspotting is a classic film. It's a classic slice. No, I don't have the dentist at 12:30. Thank you very much. Turn that off. I'm going to be saying, got a message from my sister. Okay, that's fine. What was I going to say? What am I talking about? Trainspotting. Trainspotting's it's an absolute classic film from the 90s. It's very much a film of its time, I think. And the sequel is obviously 20 years later. 25, I don't know when it came out, 20 years later, something like that. Obviously the guys are all a lot older. It's a different kind of film. It's not as gritty at all as the first one. I mean, the first one was pretty harrowing at times, especially the bit with the baby crawling across the roof, the ceiling, things like that. But the first one was very, very gritty. But the second one's still good. It's still got the same characters. I enjoyed it. If you enjoy the first Trainspotting, you will enjoy the second one. But like I said, I think people, when there's a classic film has come out, people want more. They want to see a sequel, and 9 times out of 10, the sequel never lives up to the hype of the first one. And Trainspotting 2 is probably the same. I wasn't expecting a lot, but I did enjoy it. So yeah, if you enjoyed the first one, go and see the second one. Secondly, what would you do if you randomly saw someone in public watching one of your videos on their phone? That's a brilliant question. I've actually got it's a true story, and it's not with me personally, but my daughter, she's got a class called Graphic and Design, and she had been telling the guy's a gamer, or I should say he was a gamer. The guy sadly died last year, I think it was. He died, he was very early 20s. He was actually on a school trip and he passed away. which was really, really sad. But he's a gamer, and my daughter knew this, and I think he watches a lot of YouTube videos, and she had mentioned that her dad is also a video gamer, and she mentioned that I had a YouTube channel, and he subsequently subscribed to my channel, and she would be in class working, and he would be sitting on his iPad or his phone watching my videos in class, which I think is quite funny. But I think, you know what, I think if I saw somebody in public watching one of my videos, not that it's likely to happen, I think I would probably go up and tap them in the shoulder and say, what do you think of that guy? He's an absolute idiot. Yeah, it's never happened. I have been recognised a couple of times at the play event in Glasgow. I had a few people coming up to me. But yeah, that's a great question, Kev. I think I would definitely go up and I would say hello, 100%. Thirdly, what is the shortest time a console or computer was in your collection? Now, being a bit of a hoarder, I don't generally sell stuff. You know, when I buy something, I generally do keep it. But the one system, so I very, unless I don't, I generally don't sell anything. If I buy something, I usually keep it. The one system that I bought and I realised I didn't actually want it, it was the N64. If you're a regular to my YouTube channel, you'll probably know that I'm not a fan of the N64. I don't know what it is. It doesn't. The N64 console on a modern TV looks crap. It really does. It really, out of all the sort of that generation of systems, I don't think it's held up well at all. It just looks, because the N64 was all about polygons, and they just look terrible, I think, on a modern TV. Then you've got the emulation side of things. Now, emulators can output at a higher frame rate, you know, they make them look a bit better kind of thing, but the problem is the emulation isn't spot on. The controller, the N64 controller, was quite unique with a little analog knob and that kind of stuff, the actual way you held it. I'm not a fan of it. I always think that out of any console ever, the N64 controller was cheap. It felt like cheap plastic. The little analog nub, you felt like it could snap off at any time. Whereas you look at, be quiet, you look at any other Nintendo console and the controllers are real, you know, they're well made, they're solid. But the N64 controller, I just thought it was cheap. It felt cheap. Don't know why. Maybe it's just me. So yeah, I didn't like the controller. The games, I don't think they've held up particularly well. So I bought an N64 and then I got an EverDrive and I thought, yeah, excellent, all these games. And I don't know, I went through a series of games, and apart from Super Mario Kart and Mario 64, which I still think is one of the best games ever, I just didn't play anything. And then I came to realise that, why have I got this? I'm not going to play it, so I sold it. I mean, I might have had it a year or something, Kev, but yeah, it was sitting there and I knew I was never going to warranty the system, so I did. I was going to say reluctantly sold it. I sold it because I wanted it. I wanted the money for it. I didn't see any point in keeping it. So probably the N64, Kev, would be the only console I think that I had for the shortest time. I did actually own, I'm talking way back in the day, back in 1987 it was, I got the Atari ST, I think it was, I got that in 87, and then I think I got the Amiga in 1989, and back then it was just not possible it wasn't possible to have two computers at the same time because of the price, you know, so I had to sell one to get the other one, so got the Atari ST, and then when the Amiga came down in price, I thought, this is the one for me. So I only had my Atari ST for quite a short space of time. Still loved the ST, but it was a natural upgrade in my opinion. So yeah, and fourthly, what is your favourite game where the bad guys win? What is your favourite game where the bad guys win? I can't really think of that, because you always play the good guy, generally, don't you, I think? I can't think of any where the bad guys win. No, I don't know. I mean, I was going to say World of War, not World of Warcraft. Warcraft. I loved Warcraft. It was the first point and click kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, real time RPG. I can't remember what these are called. Real time strategy. You could basically play as the orcs or as the humans. So technically, whatever one you were playing, the opposite was the baddies. But then you could play as either or. So technically, the baddies would win if you were playing it. I don't know. I can't really think of any particular game, Kev, that where the bad guys win. Nah, I don't, Kev. Sorry, I can't think of any. Can you think of a game? Anyone else watching this think of a game where the bad guys win? No, I can't. And finally, I've just done this myself, so I'm curious if you have too. Have you ever bought something purely for the purpose of making a video about it with no intention of actually using it beyond the video? I think that would be a no, because I'm Scottish and I'm too mean. Nah, that's not true. Scottish people are not mean. It always annoys me when people say we're tight fisted. We're not at all. I can't say I have, Kev. No. There's stuff that I've bought and I've only used it to make a video and I've never used it since then, but I didn't buy it specifically just to make a video. I don't think that is something that would do. Depends. I mean, obviously, if you're going to go down the road like a Stuart Ashen's video with buying tat, for £1, whatever, but I would maybe, if I saw something, I would maybe buy it if it was going to be cheap, but I certainly wouldn't spend a lot of money just for a video because, yeah, I don't know. I think I've not got that kind of money to burn, unfortunately. But anyway, listen, Kev, it's fantastic to have you back again, mate. You're doing great in your own channel, by the way. I do watch your videos. I just don't comment. I mean, I don't comment on my own videos at the moment, which is pretty bad. So, anyway, I'm just looking at Charlie Farr, I should say. Haha, nice hair. I nearly lost my coffee when you first popped up into view. Yeah, if you haven't watched the Dave and Al or Alan Dave Talks Bollocks, I had a wig on. Have you ever considered having a series covering games that were finished, near finished, but for some reason were never officially released at that time? Sort of they nearly did what? That's not a bad idea. There's probably much better channels. In fact, I know on a retro tip, my mate Tim, he's got a cracking channel and he does games like that, games that were never quite finished. So there's channels out there that put out much better videos than myself that probably already have that covered, but it's not a bad idea actually. I'm just laughing, yeah, the oldie gamer Steve is saying, okay, which tosser disliked this video? Come here so I can slap some sense into you. Yeah, I noticed a video that Dave and myself did, I don't know how many, we got 3 down thumbs. You know what, I think the thing about YouTube is you need to understand that there are trolls out there are people out there who are jealous, and it's like no different to somebody spray painting a wall. They'll just go out there and be horrible. They'll watch a video, they may not even watch the video, they might even just look at the thumbnail and think, I don't like that guy, I'm going to give it a thumbs down, so I don't bother. But it's quite interesting that you get people that do that. But I think that's something that as you do kind of become a bit more popular, I suppose, on YouTube, then you're going to attract people like that. But I've been pretty lucky. I generally don't get many people giving me a hard time. But the best thing to do with people like that is completely ignore them. I've got to say, just completely off topic, I was in Glasgow a couple of weeks ago, and I was with my girlfriend and we were walking along Sauchiehall Street in Glasgow, and there was like a lot of big cities, there's a lot of people, homeless people. I'm not saying they're begging, but they've got a cup. They're not asking for money, but they're you can throw some money into a cup for them if you want. And just as I was approaching these 3 guys, I would probably say about 18, 19-year-old, came running up, and they actually picked up the guy's cup, emptied the change into their hand, and then jumped onto a bus and disappeared. So these 3 guys stole from this homeless person. Now the homeless person, he got in quite a state. You could tell that I think he's got some mental problems. And myself, my girlfriend, and about 3 or 4 other people kind of rushed to his help. I mean, they didn't assault him, but they stole his money. And we picked his cup up, put it back down again, and we made sure he was okay. And I gave him, I think, £3 or something. And the rest of the people that were around him gave him some money. So he ended up getting more money than probably he'd lost. But, it really upset me that there are people that deprived that they obviously get some sort of enjoyment out of being so horrible to somebody who has got nothing. What kind of person would do that to a homeless person? Sad. But anyway, listen, right, that's one set of comments now. Let's jump into my Friday Waffle from a few weeks ago. You be quiet, Alan. Now, I don't know if there's any questions in this. I'm just having a wee look. This is Andrew Clegg. Yeah, I did a sort of a piracy special a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, and Andrew is saying here, my sordid story. I got an Atari 800 for Christmas in 1983. My dad realised my cousin had the same machine, and being 17 years older than me, was working, had quite a lot of tapes. Initially it was to borrow, then figured out they could be copied. Eventually I got a disk drive, probably around 1986. I joined a postal software library, tons of software arrived. Guy at college had an Atari, and we swapped hundreds of titles over 2 to 3 years by post after college. I had a bare cartridge that plugged into that right slot that allowed dumping to tape or disk. Handy, sometimes had to crack the dumps after as the code wrote back to itself, okay in ROM, not in RAM. 1987 I got an ST, lots of guys at college had them. So much software copied over 3 years or so. 1990 I got an Amiga, started going to a piracy club at the ICI Social Club in Huddersfield. Brilliant. Must have been the #1 club in Yorkshire. The guy called Paul came every week with every new release. Everyone copied his cracked games. Didn't want anything for them either. A good bloke. The sight of an A500 with 3 external drives clicking away running X-Copy will never leave me. This place ended in 1992 maybe, and we moved to another club in South Elmsall. Same goings on. Guy who organised it ran a local computer shop and sold blank discs at the club. Obviously more profit in blanks than legitimate software. Once it was raided by cops and fast, but the organiser had been tipped off. They ended up raiding a Sensi soccer tournament. All with legitimate copies. Made them look like a bunch of fuckwits. 1993 I got a SNES. 1994 got a UFO cartridge to disc unit. Video library in Normanton had loads of SNES games. Bloke must have realised we were copying them. No one could play 10 games in a weekend. Clubs ended around 1996 I reckon, after moving around for a couple of years. CD-ROMs killed them. Shame. Much less interesting games when the Amiga died. 1996, the PlayStation time. I had a mate who could program PIC microcontrollers, so a bit later it was mod chipped. Media was damn expensive. 3 of us banded together and bought 100 discs direct from Trax Data. God, I remember them. I remember them being something like £7 each, and that was damn cheap due to the price break on 100. £7 for a disc, mental. 2001 got a Dreamcast after it was on the way out. Didn't feel sad, no one was making money from it. 2004 GameCube, got a Cube mod chip, still got it, working well for 15 years. Had to download the games as I had nothing to dump them with, a bit of a pain. Last 3 years been getting a hold of old systems and having complete collections of EverDrives, modded Saturn, hard drive and the PS2 and Wii U. PS4 and Xbox, wish I could copy stuff. Those poor quality boxes with no manuals are worth no more than a copied disc to me. All through this time I've never stopped buying originals though. If a game is worth playing, it's worth buying, if it's priced correctly. Listen Andrew, absolutely fantastic story, that's brilliant. You know what, yeah, people, it wasn't right at all, but you know what, it's what we did. It was a thing what happened back then. Legendary Whizball is saying you should get on the Switch. A lot of great retro games. Gods Remastered dropped this week. Yeah, I do. I mean, I've got the Switch, and I don't think I've ever bought anything on the store, so I may actually have to look at that. So thanks very much for the wee tip off. Colin Jones, on the C64 I had an adapter that accepted two CTN tape decks, and I used that to copy. Freezer cartridges were far better though, and I quickly discovered how to defeat them too. X-Copy was used a lot in my Amiga. A mate of mine was big into copying CDs in the PC in the early days. Also had the PS1 chipped, though still bought the occasional original Spyro trilogy. There were shareware hacks and key generators that could be downloaded to turn trial software into full price software. Then I got a debit card. Apart from the occasional TV torrent for something I missed that I'm legally entitled to, I no longer pirate anything. If a developer has put effort into something I find useful, it's only fair they get paid for it, especially at app prices. I've bought many that didn't really need payment so I could support the dev. Mind you, Google Rewards helps a lot with that. Yeah, absolutely. I would never pirate anything now. I mean, I'll download ISOs for systems that are no longer valid. Failed channel. Blank tapes had a government surcharge because people were taping off the radio. I can't remember which waffle, but I'm pretty sure I commented on how we spent more time copying Amiga games with my cousin with 2 stacks of discs on 2 external drives. I don't want to knacker the internal drives for an X-Copy session, but at the end we put aside time for nice 2-player games like Speedball 2 or Supercars. I only bought games I had tried on cracked discs first after Amiga Outrun and Chase HQ incident. My mate Alan, you could buy anything at the Barras. The Barras was a massive market in Glasgow. I went for the software, but I used to take a wander around the other stalls while I was there. It was a huge maze of both indoor and outdoor market stalls. I bought 48 Cadbury's cream eggs once, only to find out they had a week left on their sell-by date. There were always dodgy guys shouting tobacco, get your cheap tobacco, and even a stall selling haircuts, £3 a haircut. Donut stalls run by people who looked like donut stalls run by people who looked like that's all they left. And butcher stalls, a carrier bag of random meat for a £5. First 3 customers get 4 extra burgers thrown in for free. Loads of clothes stalls selling knockoff goods and second-hand clothes stalls. I once bought a doctor's lab coat for one. Right in the middle was a guy selling floppy disks with MIDI music on them. He had an electronic keyboard and we were banging out some MIDI classics. Just outside the market was a shop selling rejects from the Tonics factory, so I often made my way home laden with pirate CDs, out-of-date cream eggs and a week's supply of broken Tonic caramel wafers. Happy days. Absolutely brilliant. Chris, let's see, got any, here we go. Chris is saying, I used to chip PlayStations back in the day, quite a profitable nature. I would have made a lot more, but I only did it for friends and family and close friends of theirs. I suppose technically my MAME cab is one pile of piracy. I recently, in the last few weeks, downloaded an older 2006 PC version of Outrun 2 Coast to Coast because you can't buy it new or on Steam due to Sega no longer having the Ferrari license, and eBay prices are stupid. I've got it on PS3, so I've sort of paid for it in the past. I've always been a pirate, but then I've spent a hell of a lot on gaming as well. It is what it is. Absolutely, and that it doesn't make it right, Chris, but I was the very same. I've bought thousands and thousands of games over the years. For the next waffle, I don't ever remember buying a mega expensive game, only standard price ones. What's the most expensive game you can remember buying? I've never been one for like import games or buying expensive games. A game that I didn't, what did I pay? I paid about maybe 30 quid for it. It wasn't an expensive game that I bought, but I sold it for a load of money, and I do kind of regret it. And it was Protector on the Vectrex, programmed by Alec Herbert, I think his name was. An awesome Defender game, probably one of the best versions of Defender you'll get outside the arcade. There was only 100 made, and I can't remember what one I got. It came in a lovely box, I had the overlay, it was beautifully put together. Now I paid maybe 25-30 quid for it, and then it was maybe about 10 years ago. I was a bit kind of tight for money, and I just went on eBay typed in Protector and somebody was selling it for like 200 quid. So I reluctantly put it up for sale, and I think I got about 250 quid for it, which was amazing. But I do kind of regret selling it now, but you know what, I needed the money at the time, so it was the right thing to do, and I now have it on. There's a double cartridge called, well, it's Yet Another Space Invaders, and on one and sorry, there's two games on it. There's Yet Another Space Invaders by Alec Herbert, which is just the most perfect version of Space Invaders, and there's also Protector, so I can still play the game. But yeah, that was a game that I bought and I sold for a lot of money. But I don't think, Chris, I've ever actually spent a lot of money in a game, because I'm all about the games. I'm not about the collecting. So if I can get a game for nothing, like a ROM, then I would do that. I mean, to go back and think what would be the most expensive game I bought, it'd probably be a Super Nintendo game. I mean, were they not going for like 45 quid? Something like maybe Super Mario Kart, something like that. Can't remember. But I was never really into buying what do you call it? Like import games. Ye olde gamer Steve, another fine waffle, sir. I admit to pirating. It started on the ZX Spectrum, and I bought an Amstrad twin tape stereo just to copy games. I also copied games on my C64. In the Amiga days, I was a trader for a cracking group and used to constantly get 5 to 8 jiffy bags full of discs in the mail each day, which I would make multiple copies of and then post out to other people. Hardcore, mate. It was never done for money. 20 blank discs would get 20 disc copies. No money exchange hands. It was purely spreading the games. Amusingly, I never got to play any of them, as all my spare time was spent sat watching X copy hour after hour. I was exactly the same. I probably spent more time copying games than actually playing the damn things. So I'm just having a quick wee scoot to see if there's any other questions. Accessible gaming, excellent. Enjoyed the waffle. The C64 had tons of backup devices, I recall, as you generally couldn't just use your mum and dad's twin deck stereo. It just didn't work. I remember going in halves with a mate to get a device that plugged into the back of the C64 cassette port, allowing you to connect two C2N devices, one to play, one to copy. What a brilliant thing. Then all the cracker cartridges came out, allowing you to do it in a single tape. I had Freeze Frame, which is just an amazing piracy device. You basically loaded the game, pressed the button, and you could save it to either disc or tape. Listen, the reason I keep glancing down is I notice I've only got 35 minutes and 20 seconds of space on this tablet, and we're up to 33 minutes, so I'm going to wind this up, guys. Listen, apologies for a rather lacklustre waffle. I hope you all enjoyed watching it, guys, and as always, take care, see you soon.